The smell of dust and decay hangs heavy in the air. It is the stench of war, a grim reminder of the recent conflict that has once again ripped through Gaza. The streets, once bustling with life, are now eerily silent, save for the crunching of rubble underfoot. Amidst the destruction, a lone figure picks through the debris, their face etched with a heart-wrenching mix of grief and determination. The human toll of this conflict is impossible to ignore. Thousands of innocent lives lost, countless others forever scarred. The eyes of children, wide with trauma, reflect the horrors they have witnessed. Their childhoods, stolen by violence, replaced by the harsh realities of displacement and loss. Gaza, a name synonymous with resilience but also with suffering. A place where hope and despair coexist in a fragile balance. For decades, its people have endured wave after wave of conflict, each one leaving behind a trail of devastation. The scars of past battles are etched into the very fabric of the city. This latest escalation has been one of the most brutal yet, reducing entire neighborhoods to rubble and pushing an already fragile healthcare system to the brink. The destruction is not just physical, it tears at the very soul of the community. Hospitals, already struggling with shortages of essential medicines and equipment, are overwhelmed with casualties. The corridors are filled with the injured, and the air is thick with desperation. Doctors and nurses, working tirelessly amidst the chaos, are forced to make impossible choices: who to save and who to let go. Their faces, etched with exhaustion, tell stories of unimaginable stress and heartbreak. The air is thick with the stench of antiseptic and the sound of weeping. Every corner of the hospital is a testament to the human cost of conflict. The psychological impact of this trauma is profound. Families huddle together in overcrowded shelters, haunted by the memories of lost loved ones and the constant fear of renewed violence. The emotional wounds run deep, affecting generations. The laughter of children, once a common sound in these narrow streets, has been replaced by a chilling silence. The echoes of joy are now memories, overshadowed by the ever-present threat of conflict. Children, the most vulnerable victims of this conflict, bear the brunt of the trauma. Their innocence shattered by the deafening roar of bombs and the sight of death and destruction. They have witnessed things no child should ever have to see, their young minds struggling to comprehend the horrors unfolding around them. Nightmares and flashbacks are commonplace. Bedwetting, once a rare occurrence, has become the norm. Many children are withdrawn, their silence speaking volumes about the invisible wounds they carry. The long-term impact of this trauma is immeasurable, casting a long shadow over their future. The international community has a moral obligation to act, to provide not just immediate humanitarian aid, but also long-term psychological support for these traumatized children, to give them back their stolen childhoods and help them heal the invisible wounds that run so deep. While Gaza bears the brunt of the destruction, the West Bank too is grappling with a surge in violence. Jenin, in particular, has become a flashpoint, with Israeli defense forces conducting raids and Palestinians resisting with increasing intensity. The once bustling streets of Jenin's refugee camp are now scarred by bullet holes and littered with debris. Homes are reduced to rubble, businesses destroyed, and lives upended. The cycle of violence, fueled by decades of mistrust and animosity, shows no signs of abating. The people of Jenin, like their counterparts in Gaza, feel a sense of abandonment by the international community. They see their pleas for help falling on deaf ears, their suffering ignored by a world seemingly desensitized to their plight. Section 5, Fragile Truce, a glimmer of relief in a sea of suffering. After weeks of relentless bombardment and bloodshed, a ceasefire has finally been declared. The air, once thick with the sounds of explosions and cries of despair, now holds a tentative silence. A fragile truce brokered by international mediators offers a glimmer of hope in this seemingly endless cycle of violence. The negotiations were arduous, with each side making painful concessions. But while the guns may have fallen silent, for now, the scars of this conflict run deep. Families mourn their lost loved ones. and communities are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. Aid agencies are finally able to access the hardest-hit areas, delivering much-needed food, water, and medical supplies. Their efforts are a lifeline for those who have endured unimaginable hardships. But the scale of the devastation is overwhelming, and the needs are immense. Entire neighborhoods lie in ruins, and the path to rebuilding is fraught with challenges. The ceasefire, while welcome, is just the first tentative step on a long and arduous road to recovery. Community leaders are beginning to discuss plans for rebuilding, but the journey ahead is daunting. The international community must seize this opportunity to push for a lasting solution. Diplomatic efforts must be intensified to ensure that this fragile peace holds. A solution that addresses the root causes of this conflict and offers both Israelis and Palestinians a path to a future free from violence and oppression. Only then can true peace and stability be achieved in this troubled region. Section 6. Beyond bandages and breadlines, the long road to rebuilding lives. The immediate priority is to address the urgent humanitarian needs, to provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to those who have lost everything. But the task of rebuilding goes far beyond simply meeting these basic needs. Thousands of homes lie in ruins, schools and hospitals are damaged or destroyed, and the infrastructure that sustains daily life is crippled. The economic cost of this conflict is staggering, further exacerbating the already dire humanitarian situation. Rebuilding Gaza and the West Bank will require a concerted international effort, an effort that goes beyond simply writing checks and delivering aid, an effort that involves investing in long-term development, creating jobs, and fostering a sense of hope for the future. Section 7. Voices from the Ruins, Stories of Loss, Resilience, and a Longing for Peace. Amidst the devastation, the spirit of the Palestinian people shines through. Their resilience, their determination to rebuild their lives, their unwavering hope for a better future. These are the stories that need to be told. "We have lost everything," says Fatima, a mother of 3, standing amidst the rubble of her home in Gaza. "But we are alive, and that is all that matters. We will rebuild, as we have always done." Her words are echoed by Ahmed, a young doctor in Jenin, who has been working tirelessly to treat the wounded. "We are exhausted, but we will not give up," he says. "We will continue to fight for our rights, for our freedom, for a future where our children can live in peace." Section 8. A Call to Conscience. The world cannot remain silent. The world cannot and must not turn a blind eye to the suffering in Gaza and the West Bank. The images of destruction and despair are a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict. This is not just a Palestinian tragedy, it is a global tragedy. The pain and suffering felt by the people of Gaza and the West Bank reverberate around the world, touching the hearts of millions. A tragedy that shames us all. It is a stain on our collective conscience, a reminder of our shared humanity and the urgent need for compassion and action. We cannot claim to stand for peace and justice while remaining silent in the face of such blatant injustice. Our silence is complicity, and our inaction is a betrayal of our values. We cannot preach compassion while ignoring the plight of those who have lost everything. The children, the families, the communities torn apart by this conflict need our voices and our support. The time for words is long past. The time for action is now. We must move beyond rhetoric and take tangible steps to alleviate the suffering and bring about lasting peace. We must demand an end to the occupation, an end to the violence, an end to the suffering. Our collective voice must rise in unison to call for justice and peace. We must demand justice for the Palestinian people, and a future where they can finally live in peace and security. A future where children can play without fear, and families can rebuild their lives. We must not allow this to become the new normal. The resilience of the people in Gaza is inspiring, but they should not have to endure such hardship. We must act now, before it's too late. The world is watching, and history will judge us by our response to this crisis.